Okay, on this project we're going to be doing a cross lap, and what it is just simply taking two boards and crossing them over, and half of the board on this side is taken out, half the board on this side is taken out. And how I grade this is I look and see if it's smooth on both ends, not like it's too short or too long, but it should be smooth across there, and then also it should be level across the top. So basically that's where this is at. Now I will tell you one thing. If you cut into a knot, if you use any of this part in here, and if it's got a knot, it's going to be a problem. As you can see, this right here is not very smooth. This is nice and smooth on this side, but this one here, the student had a really hard time cutting that out because of the knot. So my famous saying is, knots are not your friend. They will cause you a lot of problems and a lot of extra work if you put those in your project. Now that knot, it can be located back away from the project. It doesn't mean that there can't be a knot in the board, just not where you're working. So in order to set this up, what I do is I take the same 2x4, this is 24 inches here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these on this side, one of these on this side, and I'm going to cut it down to 12, flip the two together and see what happens. And then I can modify it from that point. But to get to that point, here's where I need to start. Okay, I'm going to take my pencil and lay it down flat. Now, let's talk about the pencil. If you lay the pencil down on the barrel flat, you can see you're about 1/8 of an inch off, or at least on my pencil that is. And because these corners are rounded, you can actually undercut by pointing or getting the pencil down underneath the 2x4. So what you need to do is to get it level here with the taper at the pencil sharpener, cut it. So I get it level with that, with the taper. And I try not to make too many marks across there. What you don't want is this. Because now you don't know, is it down here or is it up there? When you got a nice straight cut, crisp cut, that's what you want. Okay, I'm going to transfer that information off to the side, onto the edge. Okay, 1.5 inches, half of 1.5 inches is 3/4. So I'm going to mark down 3/4. Now, if you haven't got onto this technique yet, what I do is I put my lead of the pencil on the mark. I take this finger here and I put it up against the wood, and I use it kind of like a fence. And I can cut, or I can draw that line all the way across to the other side. That's the same. Now, I need to mark, because what I have had people do this. They start cutting off on this side, and then over here they start cutting off on the other side. So this is the part, this is my drop. Okay, I've identified my drop. Okay. What I want to do now is cut the shoulder, this part right here, and I'm going to cut it down to the depth of 1/2 of the thickness of this wood. Just like what I've done before, I'm going to cut, kind of flat. But on this case, it's very important that you cut on the drop side. If you cut on the product side, that's going to make this tenon too long. Okay? So here's where accuracy is going to really start to play into it. get my saw kerf all the way across, then what I do is I cut down on the back side first, so I can see it. And then I bring my saw up and gradually get it more flat. Okay, I've got my depth cut. Now, I've had a lot of students, when they start to chisel this out, they will take and put their chisel right on that line and hit it. But the problem with that is, especially on this one, the wood grain goes down. So as they're cutting here, they're going to be going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then that ruins the whole cross lap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my chisel up in here and cut this part off first and see where the wood goes. So you have a hammer, or you have a sawing exercise, and you have a hammer and chisel exercise. What I like to do is to get onto the side of the wood and just tap it out. To me, having the wood pop out like that is fun. Now this seems to be going fairly straight, so I'm going to go down a little bit. I'm going to take half of that again. Didn't quite pop out. There it went. Having a sharp chisel also helps. Now I'm down pretty close to my line, so I'm going to go ahead and get right on my line. Pop this out. Uh-oh. There's a problem with that one. It's going to go down below. Okay, I've got it down to where it's fairly flat in there. The center part right here, probably because of this knot, it's wanting to go down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hand chisel it out. Never ever put your hand in front of a chisel. That is a common mistake and a deadly one. Because if you miss, it's going to come up and it's going to cut someplace in here. So I always say 2 hands on the chisel. One you can use as a hammer to bring things down. Also, what I like to do is when I get into it, I like to slice it. So I'm not pushing straight in. I'm kind of going like a knife and taking just a very small amount off as I go through it. Sharp chisels are a must. Keep your chisels sharp. Don't allow the students to take and jam into the wood. It's not take here and just beat into the wood, because what happens is this sharpness gets bent over, because that's pretty thin right up here on the top. It doesn't take much for it to get bent over. Once it's bent over, then you've got a dull chisel. Now this is pretty smooth across here. I got a little high spot right here. I got a little low spot right here. So I want to stay away from this. What I would do right now is stop on this one, and I would go ahead and do the other one on it. Get down to where I'm at like this, cut it in half, put the two together, and see what happens. Nice and smooth there, nice and smooth there. And it's just a little high. So I could go, and you can see my mark, I could go that distance down, all the way across there. You should be able to take your hand, your fingers, and use them like a caliper, and go across there. And if it widens out, that's a high spot. It needs to be taken down. Okay? And I think that pretty much does it. Thank you.